right, welcome to a fictional meeting engagement in the 100 Days campaign. Completely made up. A lot of the units are not made up, but I've actually taken some of the brigade commanders from the order of battle in Waterloo and at Waterloo, and they will make an appearance here, and I will try not to slaughter the pronunciation of their names, especially the French gentleman. So, but this is my first game of Valor and Fortitude. I will spare you guys a lot of my behind the scenes thinking and reading, but I'll probably pose multiple questions, and I appreciate any kind of feedback to people who have played this rule system. And yeah, so I'll take any advice I can get to it that'll help me out. Pretty big forces here. We'll go through a quick look at the map, quick look at some terrain features, and then yeah, that's about it. The objective is basically to have fun. I'll kind of know in my heart when it's over. I know you're supposed to say, hey, who controls the built-up areas, then you basically there's some points from I forget the name of them. I'll try to learn them later on, but that pile up on your commander-in-chief from brigades getting blown off the table. You add those up, and that kind of tells you who the heck won the game. So, but this is just me learning more than anything and having fun. So that'll be the main objective. So a pretty and fun and entertaining Napoleonic fictional battle. The British will be on this side of the table. They're all lined up. Their commander is Duke of Wellington. There he is. We'll go through all the brigades later on. The French, I'll have to do a couple different angles just because they're more woven through the terrain than the Allied forces are. Speaking of which, it's the forces under Wellington are a combination of course, British troops, and then some Hanoverians, and then 2 battalions of the King's German Legion. The French forces are mostly French line battalions. Both forces have guard brigades just attached, just so you know. And there's also an Italian brigade for the French, and there's kind of a mixed foreign brigade that I'm still a work in progress. I'm kind of waiting on the Paris to release the Duchy of Warsaw troops, or heck, if I can find some, because if you look right over there, I just got that today, my 3D printer, so I'm kind of excited about that. I know nothing about it. I'm just going to leave it in the box until I can do a bit more research on it. Didn't feel real like I was actually getting it till it actually is sitting there in the box. So I'm like, holy cow, I own one now. So then see what kind of prints I can grab, and I'll start trying to make some guys too. That'll be a blast too, quite a hoot. But the foreign brigade is 2 Visual Legion battalions, French Young Guard battalion, and a Swiss Grenadier battalion. I think that's about it. Then of course there's 5 cavalry squadrons for each force. Terrain features, woods are woods. Rivers are impassable unless you go over the bridge. There are 3 built up areas. We've got some fencing out in the middle of the battlefield here, and then we've got of course, I'll get down lower, plenty of hills you can see kind of zigzagging their way through that'll block line of sight and add a little bit of a tactical element on it. I said in my preview video, the objective is to get the most out of the rules. Try to use as many of the different rules and try to have a more entertaining battle. So we've got built-up areas, we've got forests, we've got rivers, we've got cover, we've got terrain, we've got hills. So I think we got most of it. Roads, I don't know. So that's it. Okay, so that's the battlefield. I gotta look from the other corner because I haven't shown down there yet. And the French go on for miles to counter the British. This last built up area up here. See the French cavalry brigade looking eagerly hiding behind the Vistula Legion. And to counter them, of course, the British have got all their stuff. And then you can see just the last view from the corner of the battlefield. And should be a good battle. Table is 15 foot wide, 7 foot across. See the British Guard battalions in there. And yeah, and then my favorite, I just finished painting them a couple days ago, but there's the Highland Brigade way back there. So I'm hoping they are the stars of this battle and don't let me down. I know before we even start, the Hanoverian battalions will probably kick the crud out of everybody because they always do. And they've been on the battlefield in a little while, so they're due to do something cool. I got them right out in front with the King's German Legion behind them, pushing them towards the French. Most of the battalions, or most of the brigades, all have a piece of artillery with them. The French Guard Brigade has, with Napoleon back there. Where's that little bugger at? Hopefully he does better in this than he did in his movie. He's got 3 cannons with that section there, or brigade. And the British Guard has 2 guns with them. For overall force consistency, I could add the points up, but I think it's going to be kind of ridiculous. But it's pretty even. There's just 1 extra battalion of infantry for the British. Got my fake cards. I'm going to shuffle them. The French will be the clubs, and the British will be diamonds. And then I got my rules that I printed off, which just kind of printed them off and I did a couple different things. I'm not sure if it's going to work. I printed the rules off, of course, because they're free from the Perry website. Then I copied and pasted the rules and dragged them into a Word document. Just made the font bigger to make it easier to read, just for my old ass eyes. And then I downloaded all the Army stuff that they have on the Perry website, which is fantastic. They make this set of rules for free. And then I also went to Little Wars TV. They also have a scenario for an Italian battle, I think they offer, and they also have a slightly different version of the quick reference sheet. I have both of them, so I'll try them both out and see which one I like better. And then, of course, I made my Google Sheets for both armies. What it looks like. The font is, they got it on there. They had a page limitation, so they use very small font. I don't know if it's a great idea, but I made it, I copied it and made it into 14 fonts, so it's just a little bit easier for me to read if I need to reference something. If I start reading something really small, I'll start switching between lines and I'll get confused as heck. There's the stuff from Little Wars TV. And, their quick reference sheet is here, I think. No, somewhere. There it is. That's a little bit different than the Perry's. And then, sorry about this, just, this is what I did just to, these are my French forces. And then the British forces. I just kind of used a quick PowerPoint. Not PowerPoint, a Google Sheet that I created, and I'll just be able to add that to as I do different battles and get more units. So I've mentioned the Duke of Wellington will be the commander. I might use their special rules. I know each one of these commanders has a special rule. I might not, just because I like to save a little bit of flavor for later on when I'm better at it. And 2, I don't want to completely blow my brain away trying to learn and do stuff. But if it's, I'll do a bit more reading tonight. I will say that's the south side of the battlefield, just because that's the actual compass points from my house. In command of the 1st Brigade for the British is General Halkett. He's got the 44th, the 23rd, the 59th, and the 69th. And he has 1 piece of artillery. 2nd Brigade's like the heavy column. They're going to be they're under General Mitchell. They've got the 3rd, the 40th, the 30th, the 45th, and the 27th, and an artillery piece. In the center, 3rd Brigade with General Adam is going to have the 2nd and 5th Battalions of the King's German Legion, as well as 2 Hanoverian field battalions from Verden and Kallenberg. I rated them just to keep it kind of fun. They're 2nd line infantry, and the rest of the stuff's all British line infantry. Holding themselves in the reserve right now is 4th Brigade with General Pack. It's got all the Highlanders. I can't. I'm excited they're remaking that movie. I hope it's not a lie. That with Henry Cavill. So he's gonna be he's got the 92nd, the 42nd, the 91st, and the 79th in an artillery piece in that brigade. Moving back down on the southern side of the battlefield is 5th Brigade. General Johnstone. He's got the 29th, the 28th, the 1st, and the 35th. They're going to hammer their way through the trees, hopefully. Go up against the Vistula Legion. Over here on the north side of the battlefield, on the extreme right flank of the British, is the 6th Brigade under General Kempt. Got 2 Hanoverian Field Battalion, one from Ossenbrook and one from Bremen. And then he's got the 4th and the 32nd with them. General Maitland's doing the Guards. He's got 4 battalions of British Guard, 2 battalions from the 1st, 1 battalion from the 2nd, 1 from the 3rd, Scots Guards. They have 2 pieces of artillery, and they'll be a hammer if needed. And then General Ponsonby commands the British Cavalry Brigade, and he's got the Life Guards, the Royal Horse Guards, 2nd Dragoons, the Scots Greys, the 7th Queen's Own Hussars, and the 1st Royal Dragoons. So, yep. Yeah. It's going to be fun maneuvering. They'll get out there somewhere. We'll figure it out. But they'll get active at some point. Cavalry is a beautiful thing. Commanding the French is Napoleon, of course. The French are a lot easier to basically just... They don't have these named regiments, so it's kind of easier. Just go, hey, yeah, there you go. You're this. So the flags are so tiny you can barely see the numbers, so you look close. So don't look too close, please. Starting over here on the north side, we'll have 4 battalions of the 36th Regiment of Line. I believe it's General Burgot. Gosh, my French is terrible. Excuse me. He also has an artillery section behind them on the hill. Next to them is General Grenier with the 70th. He'll be occupying the first built-up area, and he'll have 1 battalion in there, and the rest of them are kind of around supporting. I believe it's General Peugeot. Probably killing that one. I'm sorry. He's in the 2nd built-up area with 4 battalions of the 69th. He's got his artillery piece out in the field there. In the last built-up area, but not quite occupying it, is General Bru with the 4 battalions of the 27th, and he's got a artillery piece. He's nestled up on the hill, protecting the church. He can fall back into the built-up area if need be. 6th Brigade will be General Campy. General Jamin. He's going to have the Italian Brigade with 4 battalions of the 4th Italian Infantry Regiment. I classed them, just for fun, as regular line infantry. Oh, no, I didn't. First line infantry. I'll try to make the Italians look good. And the Italians are in 5th Brigade. Sorry, 6th Brigade is General Campy. And he has got the Vistula Legion and the the Swiss, and the Guard Regiment. So he's got a Guard Infantry Regiment, 2 Grenadier Infantry Regiments. Because the Vistula Legion spent so much time with the, and I know they weren't around in the 1815 campaign, but I love them. So they spent so much time with the regular French, I gave them Elan as well. And kind of increased their point value a little bit. 7th Brigade is the Guard Brigade under General Clouseau. And he's got an Old Guard battalion, Old Guard Grenadier, an Old Guard Chasseur, and then a Middle Guard and a Young Guard battalion, and 3 artillery pieces. So they're right across the center from the British Guard, so hopefully they'll meet up and do some cool stuff, unless the Hanoverians wipe them out like usual. And then the French Guard Brigade is under General Emile. He's got the Regiment of Chasseurs à Cheval, Regiment of Chevaux Légers, Regiment of Grenadiers de Cheval, and then a regiment of Carbineers and Cuirassiers. So, should be good stuff. I have no idea how these guys will all translate. I know what happens in black powder, but yeah. So we'll draw a fate card for each side, do some shuffling first, and we'll make the British can go first since the French have the built-up areas. And we'll see how it goes. Should be a heck of a good game, and I hope I'll learn a bunch and hope I have a blast. Most of the superpower for most of the British troops is disciplined fire for the infantry. That's what their big one is. And their cavalry have another rule too. The French, I'll look at that in a second. The French have this elan rule, which I'll get familiar with real quick. And then the British cavalry have the headstrong rule, which I can't remember if it's good or bad, but I'm sure it'll be brutal. Alright, so we're going to start off with the fate phase for the British. They're going to draw a card. They're going to get the 7 of diamonds. Let's see what that does. 7's a good card for the British. It's directed fire. They can get an extra bonus for their whatever they're shooting at. An extra dice. Plus they can trace. I think artillery on a hill can trace to targets that aren't on a hill and fire over other units. So it's kind of cool. Alright. Might be using that in a second here. Probably go from, just to keep it organized, we'll go from south to north along the British line from left to right. 1st Brigade, they're going to fire their artillery piece in 48 inches, definitely in range, straight up the hill at that French unit. No, can't get any supportive fire because these guys can't shoot that far. Alright, Royal Horse artillery dice, a cannon will shoot at this 1st French battalion. 1 die. They have the canister rule, but that's within 12 inches. And I'm just kind of going through it slowly so I can work my way through this and get better at the game. And just like that, that line battalion takes 1 casualty. I think they have a tenacity of 4. So, no saves in this game, but just that's it. Move on to the next gun. This gun from this brigade is going to fire straight ahead at those guys. If you look from down low, they're partially covered by the hill and they're partially covered by the elevation there, so they're kind of threading the needle. But they only get 1 shot, so it would reduce it if cover reduces like a die off it, but you can't go less than 1, so there's no effect really here. That gun opens up, shooting at the Vistula Legion. British are shooting hot. The Vistula Legion takes a casualty. Next gun from the Royal Horse Artillery is going to try to do some counter battery. You're going to fire at one of the French Grand Battery guns up on the ridge. Do some suppression. Battery on the right takes a casualty. Those guys can't take a lot of casualties, so that could be instrumental. The guns in the back can't fire. They're not on a hill. So we'll move over to this brigade here. 1st British gun is going to fire on the built-up area and that brigade battalion inside. They're going to get fire support from this battalion, and they're going to use their 7 card to increase their fire by 1. Okay, so I'm going to just walk through this just for your future learning and my own. So when you fire at an obscured target, which is probably in a built-up area, you get half the firepower. So you get 1 for each supporting fire, and you round down. So if I support, I get one shot. Sorry, I get one extra shot. So I have 2 shots, cut it in half, it goes back down to 1 again, which is kind of lame. If I use the 7, I go up to 3, which would run down to 1.5, which would go down to 1 again. So no matter how much I shoot, I'm going to be at 1. So these guys are not going to put their shots together. This first gun is going to fire straight ahead at that obscured unit behind the wall back there, which is going to be 1 shot. And then this gun will fire at these guys in the built-up area with 1 shot, because you can't fire at the same target. The Royal Artillery is rolling a hot hand as they fire in and do a casualty on that French line battalion. They've missed yet. Second gun firing off at the built-up area. That garrison also suffers a casualty. And we'll just go over to the last gun that can fire. This brigade firing across the bridge. They'll engage the front battalion. That artillery piece also does a casualty. So the British don't know how to spell miss right now. Phenomenal shooting across the line. You can see all their guns opened up and inflicted casualties across the line on the French, which is superb. All right, so we've done the fate phase, we've done the fire phase. Now we come to the move phase. You have to activate them here, and the first one's a freebie. I think you get that, so it's an automatic. Wellington chooses 3rd Brigade under General Adam with his Hanoverian battalions in the front to be the automatic recipient. They will move forward 8 inches towards the French lines. Oh, here we go. 3rd Brigade marching out. The old frontal assault. I never expected that one. Good luck, gents. 1st Brigade will try to activate and move forward first, or next, excuse me, with General Halkett. Eager to push his command ability here. Let's see what they can do. Caused some anxiety with that 2, but we're okay. Moving forward. They begin their advance towards the French lines up on this hill. General Mitchell and 2nd Brigade is going to try the same thing and try to move through some trees. Moving forward, the 1st and the 28th are slowed down as they trudge into the trees. Got to pay every inch equals 2 going through rough terrain. They're going to see the whites of their eyes pretty soon. General Mitchell's got the 2nd Brigade in heavy column. He's going to begin his assault on the built-up area. They're going to be a little crazy and do a double move. They pass their order, but they can't do a double move because they'll end their turn closer than 18 inches from the enemy. You have to be outside of 18 inches to do a double move when you get done moving. So here we go. Learn something. Oh, they're closing in on the built-up area. Oh, I love any Napoleonic game, really. I think I love any miniature war game. All right, Scottish are going to hold and reserve, and then we'll try this brigade down here for our last brigade to move this turn. Wellington's holding the guard, the cavalry, and the Highland brigade in reserve after this initial push. You know, these guys are going to try something different just because I want to. They're going to do the reform rule and move. So they're going to go with, they're going to do some kind of open order. They're not allowed to do attack column. And they will advance towards the bridge. That's the way I'm doing open order. And I forgot the Hanoverians don't have the discipline fire rule. So they are actually, they probably served for Napoleon at some point. So they formed into attack column, the 2 battalions there. And the 4th is also in open order, moving towards the bridge. So that'll end the British action phase, it's called. Quick flyby. Massive assault. They block the fire of most of their guns now by moving in front of them. I'll have to move them next turn up on top of hills. Okay. Let's see what the next phase is. That might be it. I don't know. Let me check. So there is no melee at this point. So that will end the British turn. Alright, the fate phase for the French. They pull a 3. Let's see what that does. These kind of cool cards. My wife had these. They're transparent. Never seen them like that before. I don't get out much, I guess. I need to go to Vegas. The 3 is a confusion card. You can play that at the beginning of the British phase, and they lose their ability to activate automatically, one brigade. In case you're not familiar with the game, you can play any card at any time for inspiration. So that's kind of cool. French gun's going to fire at the 44th. It's outside of canister range, so one shot. No one else can add fire. It's too far away. Where the British could not miss, the French guns start off with a big old Labricashaw. They missed the target. The gun with the Vistula Legion will fire at the British as they start coming over the rise there. 2 guns in a row, ice cold. All right, that's not good. All right, moving along the French line. That gun can't fire. It's got units in front of it. We're going to do the Grand Batterie, whatever. They're going to fire all 3 guns. Well, 1 gun's going to fire, 2 guns are going to support on that Hanoverian Brigade. Hanoverian Field Battalion from Verdun is the first battalion to have 2 casualties on it as they get hammered by French artillery. We get 2 of the 3 hit. Get our first bit of infantry fire as the garrison will fire out at the 40th. They'll be supported by that artillery piece at the same battalion. French line battalions fire with 3 shots, but they're in a garrison, so they lose 1. They're on a 2d6, but then they pick up an extra d6 in supportive fire. They are at 13 inches from that artillery, so that is not canister. They would have picked up another one then. So just 3d6 of fire against the 40th. The 40th takes 2 casualties as they reel under the fire from the garrison. This French gun on the far northern part of the battlefield will fire at the Hanoverian Field Battalion and attack column. They're a dense target, so if your artillery hitting them, you get an extra dice, so it'll be 2 dice. So they suffer a casualty. So the French shooting phase is over. Got some fire out of the garrison. Got an artillery piece blasting away the Grand Battery of all 3 guns. It's like we hate the Hanoverians Day. Most of the French stuff was not as accurate as the British counterparts, so I think it's how it really was. Let's see what they can do next time. Now it's action phase for the French. For their automatic pass, Napoleon's going to use the 4th Brigade with General Bru. And he is going to, first thing he's going to do is move, going to try to do a rally with this brigade and then move them forward. So that battalion steps down to, a little bit down the hill. These guys step to the edge of the ridge. Now they've got like this redoubt formation where these gentlemen can fire over the top of the battalion in front of them. These guys tried to emulate it over here a little bit, but nothing to deal with yet. But this does not obstruct fire from their artillery piece. So French are looking to maximize their fire as the British approach. Taking advantage of the terrain, I love it. And they also did rally off that casualty, so they are down to 0. From what I have read and heard, keeping ahead of the casualty game is the key to this thing. Otherwise, crap will just start disappearing. Okay, 1st Brigade was the automatic. The Foreign Legion's going to try to activate, and then they'll try to rally off their one casualty off of their the Vistula Legion battalion that got hurt by artillery. Alright, they'll try to activate that one battalion, and they're going to stay behind their wall. They're not going to move. General Campy's able to rally that casualty off the 2nd Battalion of the Vistula Legion. Napoleon's going to try to activate Clouseau's brigade with the guard and try to rally off that casualty on that one artillery piece. There's the activation, and now here comes the rally check. Grenier is going to activate 70th, with the 1st Battalion of the 7th, and probably try to do the 2nd Battalion of the 7th. Can you rally more than... I don't know, hang on, let me check that. I don't know if you can rally 2 different units at once. Maybe you can. Looks like he can do the 1st and 4th Battalions of the 70th. These gentlemen are within 12 inches of the enemy, so they're going to be a 4+. These guys will be a 3+. We'll do the garrison first. Looking for a 4, baby! They're back. Let's do the 4th Battalion behind the wall. The 4th of the 70th, they keep their casualty. They weren't able to rally. We'll go over the last battalion, or brigade, excuse me, over here. They will try to activate and remove that casualty on their lead battalion. They activate, now they're looking for that 4+. Which they don't get, so they'll maintain their casualty. Alright, now the end of the first turn, which is kind of awesome. Pretty simple. I mean, it probably would have been a lot more simple if I had played the game before. Got units moving forward, not moving too quick. The doubling movement is cool because you can do it when you're... If you want to go, basically, you're not moving too close to the enemy. You have to be 18 inches away to get into combat. Everything's designed for the game to go quick. But you don't have these massive attacks coming across the battlefield, which is kind of cool. Yeah. Just doing, we're on turn 1. We've already got muskets firing, which really doesn't happen in many other games. And, yeah, cool. Okay, I do want to get the French in attack column somewhere to just try that out. But maybe that'll be later on if they do a counterattack, which I'm going to do it because I'm like Napoleon. I can make a good movie. I'm just kidding. I like being a little bit aggressive, so I'll probably pull out the Italians, or someone else will go on the offensive here. I'll be right back with the British. Fate turn for turn 2. I did catch one mistake I made, probably more, but if you fire, unless you use like skirmish fire, you can't take part in the action phase. So that artillery piece should not have been able to rally, and the garrison there shouldn't have been rallying, but I could have done skirmish fire, but that would have been 1 less dice. So we're just going to put the casualties back on for both those units, and we will proceed to turn 2. Outstanding. Alright, starting off turn 2, let's see what the British get. The King. I think I looked that one up. That's the one that like increases the firepower of the brigade for the entire turn. Every unit can fire an extra die. The British are going to start off with their free... No, they aren't. Hang on. I got to think about this a minute. So if you shoot, you can't move. Might use the skirmishers rule too. Alright, this brigade is looking to rally later. So they're just going to fire their skirmishers into the built-up area, which will just be 1 dice. Or 1 die, excuse me. And it's better than nothing. Yeah, I wanted to hammer with the artillery, but there's no point. It'll just be halved to 1 anyway. Alright, so their skirmishers were ineffective against the fortification. Pays off for the French. On the far north side of the bridge, this artillery piece of the British is going to fire at the French gun on the hill. Nice shooting. They zapped them with a casualty. This gun's going to fire to that unit again to the left of the built-up area in the center. French are like, about time. British couldn't miss in the first turn. They had that hot and heavy powder the first round. Going down the line, these guys can't shoot yet. That gun is blocked. You can actually look at this one. This kind of sucks. I was kind of excited for this gun placement. I noticed that hill there, so they're going to move forward after this. This gun, we'll check out if they can actually shoot or not. I mean, that would be like a sniper shot, like thread the needle. That would be dangerous, so I'm going to say no on that one. And this last British gun can't shoot either. They're looking right into the back of their own troops. They're going to hold their fire. Let me do the measurements here, see if these guys are in 12 inches. Otherwise, that British unit might crank off a volley. All right, they're going to crack off a volley at the French, the 11-inch range. I'm loving it. Here we go. And they have a disciplined fire. So I believe they re-roll ones. I'm not sure if it's 1-1 or all the ones. I was wishing the supporting unit could have fired, but they are 13 inches away, so they're out of range. So just 3 dice coming out of these guys, re-rolling all their ones into the French. Well, that made me sad. All 3 missed and no ones to re-roll. I'm going to double check, but I think that might be the British shooting this turn. Oh, the Highland Battalion's gun is in range with an unobstructed view to that hill against the French artillery piece. They will fire 1 dice against them. Outstanding, an unexpected shot, 43 inches across the battlefield, nailing the French gun that was kind of zeroing in on this heavy column heading in towards the objective, or the built-up area, excuse me. And these artillery pieces only have tenacity of 2, so once they get to that 3rd casualty, they're in deep doo-doo. They're going to start rolling to see if they stick around. Okay, that ends the British firing phase for this turn. Not the best. They did 2 casualties, 1 on each cannon down here on the north side. The big volleys from the infantry were for naught, even though one of them was skirmish fire. But they already have 2 casualties already. I don't need them getting in trouble. I'm trying to rally them before they get too deep here. All right, we're going to use our free British automatic pass on the heavy column. The lead battalion is going to reform into open order, and then the other battalions trailing behind are within 8 inches. They're going to go in on the assault. All right, so they go in against the built-up area. That's led by the 30th, I believe. This battalion pulled off to the right, went into open order. They're going to try to rally them. This gun moved 3 inches to the left, got on top of the hill because it didn't shoot this turn. And hopefully they can make a good base of fire against the Frenchies. And yeah, so the assault doesn't happen till later, I believe, but I do get through the rally order. I'm going to try to take a casualty off this battalion. They rally off a casualty, they're down to 1. So that'll help in the long run, hopefully. We'll do that later, continue to the next battalion, continue to the next brigade. I'm going to go to the far north end of the battlefield since I started there. The Highland Brigade is going to hold. I always want to like go in with like everything, and I am trying to not be myself. I think it's important to keep something in reserve. So I'm holding a good chunk of crap in reserve, so I think it's smart. These guys are going to go across the bridge, or at least attempt to. The Hanoverian battalion will go last as they will try to rally this turn. But first of all, let's see if the brigade can pass their order. Massive success. Okay, open order can go 12 inches. I think attack columns can too. And then let me do a quick roll while we're on the rolling phase before I forget. These guys are trying to rally off their casualty, at least one of them. General Mitchell successfully rallies a casualty off the Hanoverian Field Battalion as the 32nd in open order rushes across the bridge towards the French. Not quite able to reach to assault. So they might have to withstand some blistering fire from the French. I love the attacks across the bridge are always a fan favorite. Not the insurance company's favorites. Okay, so next up, they're going to hold back here. The guard's going to hold. We're going to try to pass an order with the King's German Legion and their Hanoverian Field Battalions to advance towards the line. All right, we're going to do the same sort of thing here. The Hanoverian Field Battalion and the 2 King's German Legion battalions will advance. This Hanoverian Field Battalion on the front left of the formation will form into open order and kind of fall off to the left and try to be rallied. Hanoverians and the King's German Legion advance to the right slightly. Might be close enough to support the attack on the built-up area, which was the objective. This other, the wounded out, or the Hanoverian Brigade that had taken casualties, formed into attack column, which is a juicy target for the Grand Battery up on the hill. Could be bad news, but we're going to try to rally a casualty off of them. All right, massive success. They're down to 1 casualty. Hopefully that'll sustain them from all the cannonballs are about to hit them in the face. All right, next up is General Johnstone and 5th Brigade. They're going to continue their march towards their date with destiny with the Polish. Oh, here they come. I think it's some rules where they're in terrain. They're supposed to not be able to stay in line. That's pretty light terrain. I took their movement down to half getting through there. Let them stay in line. You know, sue me. It'll be all right. Please don't sue me. I can't afford it. Oh, that looks good from down here. Sweet. Okay. I'm sure the Polish are going to light them up here in a second. Good luck, brothers. You got this. Keep it together. 1st Brigade under Halkett's going to move around their battalion that fired and advance if they can pass the order. That's successful. I'm going to move them in a second. Oh, I'm jonesing to take advantage of this huge open space here with the cavalry. Oh, could be too soon. That's going to be decisions come back and bite me. I'm going to go against what I want to do, and I'm going to leave these guys try to exploit any kind of weakness I can create. All right, those 3 battalions scoot to the right a little bit around the battalion that fired, and they're looking to attack the French. Not this turn. The artillery's skirting forward too. If he can get a firing solution, he's going to blast away at point-blank range with some canister. Right now I'm texting Mike D. He's been helping me out, but holy crap. I'm like, I so beg him to, should I send this cavalry in? But it's only turn 2. And I'm kind of waiting for him to respond, but I think I'm going to hold him this turn next to the Guard and the Highland Battalion. But I'm definitely having a crisis here. Okay. That will end this turn. I can start pulling the trigger on some of these fake cards too. That's a little bit of fun. I don't think I did an overview, but you can see the British starting to ooze through. And that, oh, it's not turn. Oh, shoot, my fault. Oh, I'm so excited. It's not turn 2. I'm glad I did a pan over the whole battlefield. It's an assault. Our first hand-to-hand. Okay, I'm glad I paused the video between reading rules. You guys would have all fallen asleep and unsubscribed. Probably deleted your YouTube app. That would have been horrible. So, this is the way I read it. Only if they're in contact with who they're attacking can they take part in the hand-to-hand. But you can have one brigade support if it's in 3 inches of unit of the brigade. So they will get one extra. The British will get one extra die from the brigade support. The French have nobody in well, hell, those guys are in contact with the building. Nah, it's not like you can shoot like a laser across the side. I'm about to say that'd be up front. They have nobody in support. They'll have a brigade support too. So they'll get one extra die from the fortification and then one extra die from the brigade support. That's fair. That sounds good to me. They'd have to have units piled up against the side of the building facing the British to do more than that. It's my first Valor and Fortitude scrum. Oh, it's going to be awesome. French will be rolling with 6 dice, and the British will be rolling with 5. We're looking for, is it 4 pluses? I'm having a total meltdown after I rode. Yeah, it's 4 pluses. All right, time for a community question. Well, the British inflict 2 casualties on the French, so they're up to 3, but they're underneath their tenacity, so they go to 4. The British got 1 casualty, so they're fine. I know about the who wins and loses, but there's no. If there's no tenacity check, I guess they stay locked in combat till the next round. I'm not 100% sure, but that's how I'm reading it. I guess that's kind of cool, but it could be wrong. So let me know. I'll correct this. It's the next battle. There's going to be more than one Valor and Fortitude battle because it's so far so good. I'm sold on most things Napoleonic except for the movie, and yeah, it was another cheap shot at Ridley Scott. So I'm gonna say they're still locked in combat, and I'm just gonna leave it right there, and they will continue that fight in the French melee phase for the time being until I hear otherwise, or I'm just exhausted from work today and I need to reread the rules later tonight or tomorrow. All right. So now that officially ends that race. Now turn. Sorry. Now we'll go to the French turn 2, and the French will draw a card. All right, French pick a card. They get the Jack. No idea. Hope it's something cool. Les Grognards, right? Play this card. I'm gonna play with like the unit in that built-up area that just fought. I'm gonna mark them with something and try to hopefully remember that they have 1 extra hand-to-hand for the rest of the game. That's kind of cool. All right, those guys have been marked. Let's play a game if Steve can remember to do that. They're in deep trouble with 3 casualties. Woo! All right, the French are going to try to put the 69th into early retirement. They're going to hit them with canister and then supporting fire from these 2 battalions. Just blast away. So that's going to be 4 shots. Holy cow. Just 1 casualty on the 69th. They can deal with that. Oh, my dice rolling for both sides is terrible right now. So at least it's even itself out. If I was up against an opponent, like I'd be losing big time. We're getting a repeat of that last blast over here. Artillery piece will fire a canister into the 29th. This Vistula Legion's, of course, in range. And you only have 3 units within 12 inches, so they do have 3 of their square bases in range. So 4 more shots at the 29th. They suffer 2 losses. Next up for the French, they're at a range. I'm going to fire 2 artillery pieces. we're going to go after this gun here. So it'll be 2 dice. The other dice, the other gun is not going to shoot and try to rally off that casualty. They actually can't see that gun, so they're going to blast away at the Hanoverians and pick up a 3rd dice because they're a dense target. Also, remember they have to shoot at the closest target, so that's them, because everyone else is covered by trees. So they would have had to shoot at the Hanoverians anyway. The Hanoverian Field Battalion from Verdun is absolutely hammered, taking 4 losses now. They already had 1. They pick up 3 more. That's not good. They only have a tenacity of 3, so we're going to be taking some kind of test. I'm going to be getting these terms wrong for a little bit. Alright, so they have 4 losses, but they have a tenacity of 3, so they have to take a 1 valor test. They'll stay at 3 casualties, or 3 losses, excuse me. I'm trying to use the same terms. And they will get a +1 to this roll because it's in the fire phase. So I got to roll a 3 or higher, or I believe they just disintegrate. So they pass that. They stay at 3 because that's their tenacity, and they are shook. That's the green marker. All right. 90% sure I got that right. All right. Thanks for being supportive, guys. Moving right along with the French. I don't think they're in 12 inches, but I think I want them to rally anyway. I'm going to measure that. They can do their skirmishers and rally. So they're in range. They're going to fire through the trees with their skirmishers. Just 1 die against the Hanoverians. Bullets kill some squirrels and stuff in the trees. Do 0 impact. Moving along. Oh yeah. That artillery piece. I gotta see if that's 12 inches or not. Oh yeah. Alright. Artillery piece, 11 inches to that battalion in open order. I would still consider that a dense formation. So that'll be 3 shots hitting those gentlemen. The 40th suffers a 2nd loss from that artillery piece. And as we pan across, we'll get a barrage from this front formation into the guys coming over the bridge, supported by the artillery piece that can hit them because they're elevated above the formation. Plus, that gun's on a hill. All right, the French blast away as the British close in on their position, trying to hammer them back across the river. The sad musketry continues. There's only 1 loss is inflicted on that battalion on the bridge. Okay, for my automatic pass for Napoleon, we'll do this battalion here. These guys skirmish fired. They're already engaged. I'm going to try to rally a casualty off this battalion. Those guys just don't have a lot of esprit de corps. That's the 2nd time they failed a rally check. They might not like their leader, or they might just need some more wine. We'll see. Next up, General Grenier leads the assault on the outside of the building against the British unit in open order with 2 losses, leading 2 French battalions out there. So they'll get an extra die for the battalion support. I guess the British would too, but because it's just tons of British to the right. So we'll get 2 side-by-side, hand-to-hands here. They're French trying to relieve pressure on the built-up area by attacking, and they can turn the flank here. They're definitely gonna earn the attention of the Highland Brigade. They'll probably start moving up now. They're like, you ain't doing that, son. That or I'll launch the cavalry at them. Probably the Highland Brigade, excuse me. I keep saying battalion. Okay, that's the first move by the French. There's a view from the Reaper drone over the western edge of the battlefield. It's getting kind of ugly over here at this built-up area. Sweet. Next up, I'm gonna try to pass an order. I'm gonna start down here with this is 1st Brigade. All right, General Brigade is going to move. We'll try to reform his other 3 battalions into attack column and prepare for the counterattack against the British. French are getting serious back there, getting to their normal the normal state of being. Yeah, they go ahead and change. I believe they can use that Elan rule, so they're getting prepared for that. You can't change formation and attack. They have to stay 3 inches away from the enemy, which they've accomplished. So they're setting themselves up for next turn 3 counterattack. The Italian brigade is going to reform into attack column. General Jamin gets his Italians ready in case and this is looking brutal in front of him. The British break through. He's gonna try to stop them, and then of course he's got some buddies to his right. Brigade's gonna hold their own. The cavalry's gonna hold their own. The Vistula Legion's already fired. General Bru is going to try to use his last 2 battalions to attack the British who took that volley. The French pull off the assault against the 69th. So we got several hand-to-hands here across the battlefield. Most of them over at that built-up area. But these guys won't be outdone down here. Alright, here comes the hand-to-hand. Both of them will have support of a brigade, so they each get 1 extra die. So 3rd Battalion of the 27th Regiment of Line wins the hand-to-hand. They don't have excess losses. They're at 4, so they're shook. The French have 2 losses. So there's no, they say they're shook, but there's no valor checks because they don't have any additional die losses. Once again, if I got that wrong, let me know, but that seems to make sense to me. All right, next up is the hand-to-hand at the built-up area. The British will have their 5 dice for their brigade support. The French will get their 5 die. They've got their brigade support over here. But they'll also get that extra die from that, I'm going to try to pronounce it, the French word, basically. That card they played, they get an extra die. So they're going to get 6 dice versus, oh, they get the extra one from the influence. Oh, hang on. And they also get the extra die from the built-up area. So they're going to be at 7 dice versus the British 5. This will be the most dice I've rolled in a Valour and Fortitude game yet. This is nothing for like chain of command or bolt action, but here we go. The 30th kicks the ever-living crap out of that French line battalion in the built-up area. The 30th is going to be shook. They're going to have 4 casualties, or 4 losses. They don't have to take any kind of valor test because they won the hand-to-hand. All 5 of theirs make contact. The French are shook. They're going to have 3 excess casualties, so 3 valor checks. Oh, here we go. Can they survive? Oh, that is so boss. The French holding on like it's Hougoumont. They stop the British. They lose the fight, but they're still in it. It'll continue on the next British hand-to-hand. Both guys are shook, so they're going to be hitting on 5s and 6s now. It's getting kind of pathetic, but wow. I love fights like this that go on. Great job, gents. And then the final hand-to-hand out here. Both battalions will have 5s. The British are going to win that hand-to-hand like a boss. French take 4 losses. They are shook. The British are going to be shook. There's no excess losses on the French, so they won't take a valor check. So that will end turn 2. which I'm getting really fired up. I'm still struggling with the rules a little bit. I'm doing a lot of referring to the rule book. I'm pretty sure I'm getting everything right. Even if I'm not, I'm having a blast. Wow. I think it's Napoleonics. I could be doing tiddlywinks with Napoleonics. I'll be having a great time. All right. We got a brawl going on. We got units snapping and breaking. And we're only in turn 2, so everyone is still on the battlefield. French are mobilizing to counterattack. I'm sending in the Highland Brigade next. And I'll be hard pressed not to start launching cavalry attacks, especially with the British. The French don't quite have a route yet, but the British have a wide open field in front of their horses. Send them over that hill, right into the artillery. Okay, I'm fired up. I'm gonna shut up. I can ramble on forever, and we're only in turn 2. See you in turn 3. One quick housekeeping correction I caught last night. Les Grognards, this rule for this battalion in the defending this built-up area, they have +1 to their hand-to-hand die, and they also have +1 to their tenacity. So even though they made their valor check, they should have only rolled 2 dice instead of 3, and now they have 5 casualties, or 5 losses, excuse me. They're still shook, but they got 5 now. All right, from going from north to south, this gun, there's a good chance they'd take somebody's head off, so they are going to cease fire this phase. Next up, this artillery brigade with the French. It's the closest target. They're engaged in hand-to-hand, but there's a big chunk of the units sticking out. Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to say they can't fire at the front unit because they're in hand-to-hand. The second battalion behind them is doing battalion supports, but they will be the target of this blast. That battalion takes a loss. That seemed fair in my mind, so I'm going to stick with it. And I'm sure if I was playing a person, I could convince him, especially James. He's super nice, so easy to manipulate. I'm just kidding. He's friggin' way smarter than I am. All right, these guys are all brutalizing each other in hand-to-hand. These 2 guns, man, that's threading the needle between. That's not happening. Even though if they're on a hill, they could fire. Oh, they could use that one card they have. All right, they're going to use their directed fire card. I think it's the 7, and they're going to fire at that unit behind it. No. Hell yeah, they're going to fire at that Italian unit that's in freaking attack column. These 2 guns will shoot together. So they'll support each other. There'll be 2 dice. I normally give them the Sorry, I'm kind of working through this out loud, so please forgive me. Normally I give those guys cover, but since they're playing the 7 card, it's going to be bullseye. They'll get an extra die, plus they'll get an extra die for them being a dense target. So it's going to be 4 dice hitting the Italians. They take 1 casualty. I think there would have been more outrage from the Italian community as a whole if they would have gotten nailed with 4. So the dice, they evened out my my rationalization. So it all works out in the end. I don't feel too bad about it. And the Hanoverians don't have skirmish fire. Maybe they do. Let me look real quick. Yes, they do. They have skirmish and square. So they're gonna pop off some skirmish shots at those guys in cover. And I did watch that tutorial on the flashing LED lights under my cotton balls. I'm gonna, on Little Wars TV, I'm gonna try to replicate that. Mike D pointed me towards that last night. I totally forgot about those things, but I think they would be it'd super sex up my battlefield, which is always a good thing. I'm also going to try to rework my roads this weekend after this game's done. So start doing some terrain upgrades, watching the terrain tutor and a couple other terrain guys and see what I can come up with. We're going to get a skirmish shot in the meantime. These guys are like, hey man, we want to shoot. One shot coming through to that French line. These are the guys that can't rally. Very unmotivated. I don't know what's going on with these guys, but they do have one loss already. The French battalion's up to 2 casualties now behind the stone wall. Moving right along with the French. I mean, with the British, excuse me. I don't think that gun can shoot yet. This battalion is going to skirmish fire at the Polish. And once again, I got too excited about the firing phase. I forgot to do the fate phase. British will pull a jack for their going back in time a little bit here. That's the Scum of the Earth card. Good for melee. They might be using that here in a minute. 1 die of skirmish fire against the Vistula Legion. And the final British firing will be the southernmost battalion firing a solid British volley into the French. And that's what the king wants to see. They rocked that French line battalion with 3 losses. Oh, that's what the British Army was known for. Excellent volleying by these gentlemen. Give them some rum. All right, it's action phase time. Kind of a little bit of a screw up there, missing the fate phase, but caught it. Didn't look like it's not going to have any kind of impact because it was a melee card. All right, who's going to get the free move? Well, the French aren't going to just hold on to this card forever. They're going to go ahead and play their 3 that blocks the free move for this phase for the British. All right, with no freebies, we'll start down the north side again. General Kempt and the 6th Brigade. Gonna try to get them to pass an order to continue the assault across the bridge. Not a huge move, but they move in contact with the French defending the bridge. Both sides will get battalion supports in this melee at the end of the action phase. Next up, General Pack will try to. He's going to move forward. Lend support to this at some point. All right, I was debating about playing a card, but I'm going to go ahead and hold off on that. General Pack, they were adjusting their kilts. They're not quite ready to move into combat yet. So they're just getting the bagpipes inflated, getting ready to... Maybe at turn forward, these guys will go. All right, these guys are all hand-to-handed out. They're going to stay where they are. Hanoverian skirmish fire, so they're going to advance. They're going to try to pass an order and advance forward. The Hanoverians and the King's German Legion pushed their way through the trees and engaged the French in hand-to-hand fighting. Oh, take that, sucker. That takes away some brigade support from these guys in here. That was a good tactical move. Also, you can see through the trees the Hanoverian, the shook Hanoverian attack column slid to the right behind the trees, and they'll try to get rallied now. They won't go out getting hammered by the grand battery anymore. All right, let's see if these guys can shake a casualty. All right, those guys are no longer shook. Hanoverians getting some courage back. They still have 2 losses, but they're fully armed and operational again. Keep working on them. Hopefully they can go in for the second wave if this attack gets repulsed. 5th Brigade under Johnstone is going to try to pass an order to begin their assault against the Vistula Legion. I kind of get 2 battalions to slam into the Vistula Legion. They pull in the artillery piece. Borderline, they might actually, if there's 3 of their bases touching on this side too, then they're going to suck in that Vistula Legion, the 2nd Vistula Legion battalion as well. Actually the 1st, excuse me. The rest of the battalions in that brigade move forward to support. Their artillery pieces are lagging behind as they move forward. That 3-inch move for foot artillery is kind of a beast, but again, they can't do double moves because they'll be within inside 18 inches. But the assault is going in, looking good. These guys are all engaged over here, so nothing to move. So that might be the end of the action phase. It's too soon for the guard, and I'm not a fan of throwing their cavalry right down the middle when those 3 guns might fire on them next turn and shred a whole squadron. All right, we'll go back to the north end of the battlefield and start the melee phase as the British come across the bridge into the French. Both sides get a battalion supports, so it'll be, ooh, is it 5 dice? I always forget they have 4 normally, so they get 5 die. Both units are shaken, but there's not excess casualties for the French. The British will win because it's their phase and they tied. So there's no valor check? Is that the word? What is this? Fortitude or valor? I can't remember. So there's no check right now, so they'll just stay engaged. Next hand-to-hand is over here. These units are both shook. So I think they get 1 less dice, but they both have a battalion support, so I think just be 4 on 4. My dice rolling is complete crap. Sorry about that, gentlemen. It's, when you tune in, you expect better dice rolling. Alright, so a draw. 1 casualty each. British phase, they win. French have 1 excess loss. They will take a valor check. The British are going to play their scum of the earth card to make that a little bit tougher on the old Frenchies. So the French battalion's going to have to roll a 5 or a 6 to survive this. If I read that right. Yep. Let's see what happens. What a save! The Frenchies pull it out. They're amazing. Oh, this brawl at this built-up area is absolutely nuts. I'm loving it. All right, so they survived that one. Now we go into this nightmare. Wow. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. One second, let me figure it out in my head. You guys have already been through enough, but this is with the leg grognards and their shook and the built-up area. It's gonna be a little bit of a shift here. I got ready to come back and start talking to you guys, and I was like, oh, and I forgot. So the British are gonna get 4 dice. The French are gonna get 5s. Leg grognards, yes. The French are victorious. British are gonna have, is it 2 excess casualties? British got to pass 3 valor tests at 4+ to stay again in contact with the French. Oh, they passed 2 of the 3, and they will rout. The 30th routes from the walls. So they tried to push their way through, but weren't able to. They were repulsed by the French. General Mitchell, he's got I think it's called a loss marker or something like that. He's got to take who knows. I know their defeats go on when a brigade goes on the commanding general, but these guys, this unit routed, so they're going to take a fortitude test. General Mitchell will at the end of the phase. Next up, just to the south of the built-up area, the Hanoverian Field Battalion going against that French line. This fight will be 4 on 4 because the Hanoverians have brigade support. They only have 3 attack dice versus the French have 4. The Hanoverians, along with the King's German Legion, absolutely crush the French. Hanoverians only suffer 1 loss. French are going to have to take a valor test of 1 because they were 1 over their excess tenacity. See if they can hold it together. The worm might turn for this battalion. They've been terrible the entire battle. All 3 turns they've been terrible. But they are able to pass their valor check and hang in there somehow. They need some support. They need some help. The Italians kind of looking at them. They're not sure if they like them enough. Next up, the British slamming into the Valour Legion and their artillery piece. The 35th is going to be the lead attack against the Visual Legion's 2nd Battalion. The Visual Legion class is a Grenadier Battalion with their brigade support and their hand-to-hand support to their left. We're going to get 7 dice versus the British 6. The Visual Legion didn't hit a home run, but the 35th completely choked. Visual Legion suffers 1 casualty, while the 35th takes 3. They will continue to fight. Neither side is shook. Then we got the final hand-to-hand over here with the 69th, who are shook. So they're going to get 4 dice, and the French are going to get 5. Spectacular rolling continues. Oh, it's horrible. They both take 1 casualty. The 69th is going to win the fight just because that's their phase. The French go up to 3 casualties, and the 69th are unaffected because they're already shook, and no valor checks are made. So that's the end of turn 3 for the British, as the fight is everywhere. The center is kind of empty. I think it's time to do something cool. We got our first loss. Oh, I gotta do a check. I forgot. Man, good. These panning things across the battlefield are saving my butt. Alright, so it's a fortitude check for this entire brigade. Thankfully, General Mitchell has got the mega brigade, so he has an extra battalion. He'll get that bonus to his roll, +1. And he needed that +1. Outstanding. And I could see how that, if he would have failed that, all those battalions and this battalion would have all left the battlefield. And I could see what the guys from Little Wars TV were talking about. You just, boom. You just lost, entire brigade just vanished. Alright, French turns 3, starts with a fake card. Whatever the 2 is. Whatever, a nice glare. Kind of a strange one. Play this card immediately. So I don't know what the hell it does. Probably nothing. All your discarded fake cards, including this one, back into your evade deck. So I guess nothing happens. Well, at least they get you all the cards you already used back into your deck for later on. So I guess it's kind of a cool card. I was like, what happened? Alright, shooting phase for the French. French artillery piece on the hill is going to try to hammer that Hanoverian Field Battalion on the north end of the battlefield. They're dense targets, there'll be 2 dice. Next down the line, this artillery piece is going to fire at that front line Highland Battalion. That's the first target they can see. Besides this mass, but they can't fire into that disaster. Just 1 shot. The 92nd suffers a casualty from that artillery shell. The main French battery has nothing to fire at. Everything's out of range or hidden. So they guns go silent. And on the far south end, that far battalion's out of range. Everything in here is engaged in hand-to-hand. This front battalion that got nailed last turn will fire, and they will also be supported by the artillery piece for 4 shots. They get a little payback on the British line that walloped them last phase. They get 3 casualties on those gentlemen. Alright, going into the action phase, this French line brigade will get the automatic. The British had nothing to block it, so they're going to do some maneuvering. Attack column rushes in, engages in melee. Now we have 2 French line battalions engaged with this British line coming across the bridge. Oof, looking brutal. These 2 guys stayed in support. Alright, next up, this brigade is going to try to pass an order, not really to do much except to try to rally a casualty off these gentlemen. Here comes the rally to try to get these guys to be unshaken. Alright, Les Grognards. They drop down to 4 casualties and are no longer shook. They're ready for the next wave of the British attack against the built-up area. Battalions trying Part 2 to move forward. The 4 Italian battalions move forward to support that French line that's getting ready to buckle to the right of the built-up area over here where everybody's doing all the killing. All right, 1st Reserve committed. This built-up area is looking rather insane. Oh, noise. The cavalry is going to be ordered into more of a column formation in the lines they're in. That'll make maneuvering a lot easier when the time comes to commit the horse. The guard's going to hold steady. Oh, I got a couple guards that have fallen over. Give me a second. Yeah, they're patiently waiting their time. Alright, that's it. This is insane over here. I love it. This is not even the best view, but French and British and the Italians are battling hard over that center objective. And that's a mess down there as well. Awesome. Okay. Back to the melee. We'll start on the north side, work our way down to the south. I was just checking out the views, and this one looked insane. Shoo-wee. Alright, guys. Taking time to take care of business. Alright, the engagement at the bridge. These gentlemen on the right are going to be the lead unit. They're going to be supported by that unit, and then we'll get brigade supports from one of these. French will have 6 dice, the British will have 4. It's a draw. The French is phased. The French are going to win. Both sides take 2 losses. These guys will have 2 losses in excess coming across the bridge. So 2 fortitude tests to see if the English can hold on. Outstanding. The 32nd hangs tough. Trying to establish that bridgehead for the rest of the British forces to get across. It's going to be a tough nut to crack here. Just on the north side of the built-up area, both battalions are battered. They both have brigade support, so 4 dice each in this even matchup. Another draw that favors the French. They both do 2 casualties, or 2 losses, excuse me. I'll never get that right. And the British have to take a 2 fortitude tests, needing 4 pluses. Another awesome stand by the one of the sides in these hand-to-hands. These guys hold out. Oh. Les Grognards, the defenders of the garrison, they get a break this time. That's sappers catching some wind, sucking some air. He doesn't have to fight this turn, so he's kind of excited by that. They rallied off a casualty earlier. We're going into the woods. Oh, nothing goes bad in the woods. See the Italians starting to come through. Hanoverians doing it again. Hanoverians have 3 dice. They're not shook. The French are down to 3 dice. They are shook. They both have battalion support, so 4 dice each again. Hanoverian Field Battalion does suffer their 2nd loss, but they inflict 2 on the French. Hanoverians are going to win this hand-to-hand. The French have to take a fortitude test. Well, they shouldn't even have got a brigade support because these guys are from a different brigade. Oh, the French even cheated and still lost. Well, the cheating French make most of their fortitude tests. They get to hang in there. The nightmare over here continues as the 35th continue to brawl with the 2nd Battalion of the Vistula Legion. Polish attacking with 7 dice, the British with 5. That was some of the most savage hand-to-hand we've seen so far. The 35th inflict 3 casualties on the Vistula Legion. They're at their tenacity. They are now shook. But they did 5 on the British, who have to take 2 Valor tests, as they are also shook, and they lose the hand-to-hand. Well, I take that back. They have to take 4 Valor tests. That's always a good idea. Oh, Oh, so close. Oh, the 35th routes from the battlefield. They'll put a marker on their brigade commander. General Johnstone will do a fortitude test, or that's right, at the end of this. Another British battalion routes the battlefield. And the last hand-to-hand is this mess down here with the 69th down here in the woods. Both are shattered, so it'll be 4 dice each with their battalion supports. Or brigade supports, excuse me. Nope, I'll take that back. The French will have an advantage here because they aren't shattered yet. And by shattered, you know I mean shook. The French are now shook as they hit their tenacity. The 69th will have to take 3 Valor checks to see if they stick around. The 69th, they also break, and they will leave General Halkett with a fortitude check in about a minute here. So as I reread the rules on fortitude tests, it probably wouldn't have been a bad idea by me tactically. When you start seeing these, your brigades are getting hammered and the battalions are getting ready to start exploding. Not a good idea to have your general, like I did, just sitting back here going, hey man, waiting to lead the next, acting like a normal general. Really good for cinematic. But you get a bonus to these fortitude checks if your commanding general is within 12 inches of the generals making these checks. So I probably should have had Wellington galloping around, getting ready to, of course it's impossible to be in one place, 3 places at once, because we've got 4 giant scrums going on here. But yeah, just a little nugget of game advice there. Okay, so this could be huge. This is probably why if I fail both of these, the entire British left is going to evaporate, and it might be game over. We'll do General Halkett first, down here with 1st Brigade. 1 die roll, looking for a 4+. Halkett keeps it together. Moving on to the next brigade. Same thing for General Johnstone. Oh, as the French turn ends, that opens up a gigantic hole in the center. General Johnstone, he's heading back to Antwerp to chill, get ready for the next battle. He's going to get a talking to by Wellington probably tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. That's what they were talking about when they reviewed this game. It said, just be prepared. Boom. 3 British battalions, 2 artillery pieces, and the brigade general all gone. They're running. All right, as that turn comes to an end, the Vistula Legion stand alone. They're on their wall. They were victorious. Wellington's got some choices to make. I'm assuming the guard and the cavalry are going to shift to the left. Try to pull a victory out here for the British. And this scrum continues, which is just freaking awesome. I love it. The bridge, it really could be a bridge too far. The Highlanders need to get their kilts on, get them right, and get in there and start kicking some serious butt. And in preparation for my 3D printer career to start, which I haven't started yet, cleaning up and organizing my painting area. That's kind of always been a disaster down here. So I wasn't sure how long I'd be in the basement, but it looks like I'm just going to go ahead and commit for a little while. Okay. It's time to get organized. All right, we'll get you in a minute. All right, turn 4, British, Wellington. Whoa, he needs to pull it out of his, you-know-where. Let's This is gonna be a big one. They can't do something big on here, get some momentum going. It's gonna fall apart on them. Okay, let's see what we can do. All right, let's go with the fake card. They've got a 5 and a king. Let's check out. I can't remember what the king does. All right, I am gonna go backwards in time here because I totally forgot about the king card. Oh. Let's see if General Johnstone can pull it out of his rear too, and after losing the 35th, be able to save 5th Brigade with a reroll. Playing the king card. Oh, he's back. I did not get these back exactly how they were. I just tried to recall from like 5 a.m. this morning. I've done about 37,000 chores and getting stuff done around the house since then. So yeah, so that's a whole new world right there. That's on me for not knowing the king card, but it's game one. And now I'm gonna look and see what the dang 5 card does, because that could be something cool too. Right, that's the stubborn. So I can play that during the action phase before I activate a battalion, and I can pull a marker off, a loss off them. Okay. Now I gotta come out with a different plan. Wellington, it's still a bit urgent, but not as big a sense of urgency as before. Still has 2 battalions in the ground, but at least he didn't lose an entire brigade. All right, going from north to south with the firing phase, the battery from the Highland Brigade take another shot at that French battery. Too tight for this battery to fire without that one card that lets you thread the needle. So these guns will go silent and move. These guns from the guard are still out of range, and that's not caught in firing position yet, so they're not going to do anything yet. And then these guys are not going to shoot this phase. They're going to do something else. So very little shooting for the British. All right, we're going to go into the action phase. British are going to play that 5 card and move these guys down to 3 casualties and remove their shaken token. It's like a little bonus thing. I was just thinking out loud who to use that card on. The free activation is going to be the Highland Battalion, and they're going to move forward to start putting pressure on the area to the right of the built-up area. The Highland Brigade begins their advance. You can hear the bagpipes blaring as they close in. The drums going too. Oh yeah. Couldn't quite do a double move. It got them about the same distance. Right, the far south brigade is going to try to activate. Alright, they moved their artillery piece up 4 inches, and the 4th King Zone moved forward 12 and then reformed into line. And they will, I should have done this earlier, they're manning they're lined the riverbank, and they're going to start unloading into the French. I'll try to activate this brigade to renew their assault on the built-up area. 2 battalions go in against the built-up area. That 3rd battalion swung over and is going to assist this battalion, and they engage the French, kind of extending their front. Very nice. Hand-to-hand continues in this area. We will try to do a rally with this Hanoverian battalion. They're down to 1 casualty now. That's pretty dang good. Recently returned Johnstone's brigade, going to try to send in the 1st Royal Scots against the 1st Battalion of the Vistula Legion. Two battalions went in line against the Vistula Legion's 1st Battalion. They'll pick up that artillery piece too. Generals moved on to the hill. This unit reformed. They were supporting the last attack that lost, and they're going to try to rally off 1 casualty. The Guard is going to try to begin their advance as well. Now's your time, Maitland. He starts moving forward with the Guard. Wellington also moved forward to lend support to this assault. If anyone needs to make any kind of crazy rolls, he's going to be there to support them. Cavalry. Yeah, let's go for it. Wellington's committing all of his reserves. Oh, yes. The Guard. the cavalry, and the Highlanders. Let's see what they can do. And the last move will be see if this brigade can do some stuff down here. Halkett has renewed his assault with the Royal Welsh Fusiliers against the damaged French line. Shifted his firing line to the left and brought his cannon up to add some firepower against these guys. I go from north to south, renew the hand-to-hand here. Let's do some adding. In this continued scrum, the French are going to have 6, the British are going to have 5 as they try to beat their way across this bridge. The French could have used their Elan roll, but one of the battalions is still in line, so they're not allowed to reroll that one. All of the supporting units have to be in attack column. Just throwing a little nugget at you, a little bit of extra knowledge. Alright, so the French do 4 losses to the British. The British do 3 losses to the French. Both units are now going to be shook again. And they're going to do 3 tests by the British. It took a while, but the French finally repulsed that first attack by the British. So they rout, and we will see a fortitude check at the end of the phase on this brigade. I did move Wellington up to support the center, so he was not able to be over here on the right flank to add a bonus to that. Alright, this will be the next melee where the British will actually have an advantage here. They'll have a 5, while the French will be throwing 4 dice. British will win that. They'll inflict 3 losses on the French. The French will only be able to get 2 back on the British. We'll have to see 3 Valor checks on that French line battalion. Second battalion of the 70th Regiment of Line is the first French unit to rout the field. General Grenier will have to take a fortitude check at the end of the turn. Thankfully, Napoleon was expecting things to start buckling up here and advance to assist on that roll. 4th Battalion stands alone, and they got all kinds of dudes coming at them. British second attempt at the built-up area over here, going against Les Grognards. Oh, good luck, gentlemen. Yeah, no support from the brigade, just support from the building there, from the built-up area. French will still have 6 dice, while the British will have 5. French inflict 4 losses on the British. British get back 2 on the French. Les Grognards are probably Lanards. The Nards are they're shook again with 5 losses. The British line is instantly shook. They have 4. There's no valor checks because they didn't go over their tenacity. This fight in the woods continues again. It's going to be 4 against 3. They will not get a brigade support this time. They both inflict 1 loss on each other. So that'll be a valor check for the French because they're going to lose. But now the Hanoverians are shook with 3 losses themselves. That was too much for a 3rd Battalion of the 70th. They held off against against everything, even though it was a Hanoverian Field Battalion. So, Grenier's got he's got 2 fortitude checks to make now at the end of the turn. Oh, 50% of his brigades. Well, he still has an artillery brigade, artillery gun. So it's 40% of his guys have fled the battlefield. All he's got is the Grognards, man. They're in there freaking going crazy. Hanoverians pumped to win that fight. They are glad. Unfortunately, that's going to last about half a second as these Italians are getting ready to just slam into these guys and probably send them packing. The Polish will be throwing 7 dice, where the British will be throwing 5. General Johnstone really drew the short straw here, going up against basically an elite brigade. And once you win through that, you have 17,000 cavalry ready to charge you down. So once he gets through the Vistula Legion, he still has a Swiss Grenadier Battalion and a Young Guard Battalion. But the 1st Royal Scots pull it out. They win that. They inflict 4 casualties on that Vistula Legion battalion. They take 3 themselves, but that's a win. No checks because they just reached their tenacity now, but they are shook. And the Royal Welsh Fusiliers go in against the shook French Line Battalion as the second wave goes in against this hill. 5 for the British, 4 for the French. The French pull out the victory there. They don't have to take a check because they win the hand-to-hand. They would have had excess casualties, but they all just magically vanish with the glory of victory. The Welsh take 3. I better get those leaks out and start stabbing these guys. Oh, that is the... Oh, now we got to go do the fortitude check for Grenier. Napoleon's trying to pump him up. He needs 2 checks, beating 3s. There's no beating Les Grognards. They're sticking around. Oh, Grenier almost ran for Paris, but he's going to stick around and fight with his 2 last battalions. Well, his 2 battalions and a gun. All right, that's the end of that phase. I think we're going into the French phase next. And let's see what they can do. It's definitely getting tied up now. For their card, we get a 4 of clubs. For his free move, Napoleon is going to bring the guard, and they're going to start moving to close this gap. The French guard starts shifting to the left. Clouseau stays about right there. I think if he goes too far away from the Grand Battery, which is going to be a problem later on, they're going to hit to send messengers to see if they can fire. We didn't have to do that yet, so that's going to be, at least I'll get to try that rule out. At some point, he's going to be over here with the guard as they continue their move towards their day with destiny. I'm supposed to do firing first, so pretend that didn't happen. Just use your imagination. Sorry about that. I got excited about the guard. Starting on the southern side of the battlefield, this cannon, some borderline crap right there. He's got to probably try to rally a casualty anyway, so he is not going to fire. Move over to this disaster over here. Do the same thing with this battery, just firing right over the top of their guys. There's no British units on a hill to oppose them, so they are not going to fire as well. Plus they have a casualty they probably want to rally off. French Grand Battery is going to fire at the lifeguards, though. I always forget, is the blues the life? I think the blues the Royal Horse Guard. I always forget, sorry about that. But that squadron here on the right is about to get blistered with 3 artillery shots. 5 dice with the dense formation hitting that unit. The lifeguards get hammered with artillery and are shook immediately with 4 casualties. Oh, welcome to the battle. Ponsonby's not thrilled about that. He's got pieces of horse all over him. The British did shift in their line so they could get their artillery piece up for point-blank range, but it did bring them in range of the full redoubt that the French created. So 5 shots into that line battalion coming from these French and their artillery piece. The 44th is blistered with that fire, taking 4 losses. They already had 3, so they are now shook, and they have to take 3 valor checks. Oh, too much for Halkett. That brigade buckles and flees the battlefield. He'll take a fortitude check. While I was checking, I was getting a fortitude die, I noticed that this one was still down here on the north side. I can't remember if I did it. Oh no, I'm gonna, since both my parents were British, I'm gonna do a little bonus here. Sorry, Frenchies. I just can't remember if I did it or not. I don't feel like going back and watching 7 hours of tape, so the British are gonna get a freebie here. A little bit of national pride there. Okay. So that's the end of the shooting phase. We're going into the action phase, which we already started with the free move by the guard moving off to the left. Brigade on the north side, they're kind of like, hey, we got robbed. They're going to try to reorganize if they can pass an order. They've reorganized into that formation. They've got their 2 shook units in the back, artillery pieces on the hill. They're going to try 3 rally checks at once. I've put a corresponding die with each unit, and I've got the ones over here I'm about to roll. Successful. Neither one of those battalions is shook. They brought down to 3 losses, and this gun is got a clean bill of health. Great move by the French. On to the next action. This battalion's going to form into attack column and try to rally a casualty. They rally off a casualty and make a hole. 1 for their artillery piece and 2 for the oncoming guard. Also, I forgot this gun will try to rally off its casualty. They fail miserably. The Italian battalion is going to try to move. Italian brigade, excuse me. Italians go in all attack columns against the Hanoverians, maximizing their bonuses. Their gun moved up on the hill and joined the Grand Battery, so now there's 4 artillery pieces up here to hammer the British cavalry. Just debating about moving the French cavalry. They're going to see if they can move and just get a little bit closer. The rest of the French brigades are going to hold still. They're not ready for it yet. I thought they might be ready. They're still kind of chilling. They're getting, they're polishing their buttons and stuff. Okay, that's the end of the French movement phase, or action phase, excuse me. For once, there's no hand-to-hand over here on the bridge. There's no hand-to-hand here. There is hand-to-hand against Les Grognards. With these guys not engaged, they will be able to get a brigade support this time, giving them 5 dice. And the British will have 4. Les Grognards win again. Oh my gosh. These guys are like invincible. MVP so far. 3 Valor checks by this British battalion going against the built-up area. It's just too much for the 27th. They rout. It's another fortitude check for Mitchell. Oh, he just can't break this objective. He's not going to be getting his a good eval score at the end of the year. Italians are going to go with a 2-to-1 advantage against the Hanoverians. 8 dice versus 4. The Hanoverians will also be using the, the Italians will also get the Elan rule. They're told like remember to reroll 1s. Right now the Hanoverians are fighting like a boss. They've got it drawn with 4-4. They're at least going to shake the unit in the center there. But the Elan rule, the Italians will re-roll their 1-1. The Italian line battalion in the center does take 4 casualties, and they are shook. Hanoverians take 5, and they're going to take 5 Valor checks. Let's see how these boys can do. This is our biggest one yet. That was just way too much for the field battalion from Kallenberg. They shatter. They are running all over the place. So now we've got fortitude checks on Adam and Mitchell. But thankfully, Wellington, sensing danger, moved up, and he'll give an advantage to both of these checks. Next up, 1st Royal Scots against the 1st Battalion of the Vistula Legion, who are shook. 6 for the Polish, and 5 for the British. They both inflict 3 casualties on each other. Because it's the Polish are attacking, they win. Oh, so they're gonna have to take 2 Valour checks for the First Royal Scots. Well, it's just too much for them. They buckle against the Polish. Another fortitude check over here. That's 3 so far. Oh, and then down here, the final fight on the south side is 5 for the British for the Royal Welsh Fusiliers against 4 for the French. Forgot these guys lost a unit at the beginning of the turn too, so there'll be 4 fortitude checks for the British. But this time they don't have to worry about it. The French are just exhausted. They don't even make contact. They get walloped by the Welsh. It would take 3 fortitude checks, or 3 Valour checks. General Brew will also have to take a fortitude check after he loses 3rd Battalion of the 27th Regiment of Line. They held out for a long time. There was a lot of back and forth down there as the Brits came through the trees. And yeah, they were lucky to last that long. That is the end of the melee phase, which triggers the French are going to play their card, which is the breakthrough card, which allows one of their units to move another time. So the Guard will take advantage of that and move another 12 inches closer to their day with destiny. The Guard advance, streaming towards the left side of the built-up area. And the Highlanders are probably going to come up and try to beat the hell out of them. Alright, we have 5 fortitude checks. I'm going to do that same technique I did earlier with that rally. I'm going to assign 5 dice, 5 different colors. And we'll roll them all at once and then figure out what the heck happened. Alright, all the brigade generals doing fortitude checks have been assigned a color die. These 2 up front, of course, they'll get their bonus with Wellington. Everybody else is looking for 4s. General Brew, in an unexpected move, flees the battlefield with the 27th Regiment, with the 3 remaining battalions, and an artillery piece. They are gone, opening the door to that built-up area and the objective. But also, General Johnstone, too much. 5th Brigade flees the battlefield. Both departing brigades inflict a loss on their respective commanders and chiefs. So Wellington has got to die, and so does Napoleon. Wow. Well, 2 huge openings. It's giving more space for the cavalry to move now. All right, and that's the end of, I think is it turn 4? I don't even know. Wow. It's just I'm kind of surprised it took this long. I think I've been rolling really good to save some of these brigades on these fortitude checks and valor checks. But yep, here we go. It's a whole new world. All right, time for some British turn 5. The old 6. What the heck does that do? That's kind of convenient. That's convenient. You can re-roll. The unit gets pummeled with hits. You can re-roll the hit rolls. The 4th is going to fire a volley at those French. 3rd Battalion of that brigade takes a loss from that fire. Let's, who else can shoot? I guess, do I want to attack? Let me think about it. All 3 British units are going to skirmish fire. The 45th puts a 2nd casualty on that gun, shaking them. So that's effective. And the buffs pop the Les Grognards. And they actually have to take a valor test. But they have to, I think it's a 3 or greater. No way those psychos are getting taken out by a pop shot from a unit outside their walls. The King's German Legion is going to unload into the Italian unit with it's already shook. They hammer them. They got to take 3 Valor checks but they are all at 3s though. That volley from the King's German Legion was too much for that Italian battalion. They boogie. They marked their brigade commander with he's going to do a fortitude check. That ends the British firing phase. We'll go on to the British action phase. Start down here. All right. The automatic success is going to be the cavalry brigade. British cavalry charges the French behind that stone wall. The lifeguards did not move. They're going to try to rally. Rally down to 3 losses. They are no longer shook. But that's the big one. Oh, yes. They're going in Scots Greys in the center. With the Royal Horse Guards and the 1st Dragoons to their left and right. All right, this brigade is going to try to cross the bridge with the Hanoverians and attack the French. Second attempt to cross over the river. Hanoverians aren't dummies. They're going to sit there and not do anything. All right, Mitchell's brigade is going to try to activate here to do something different. They fail miserably. What is going on? British are breaking down. Not good. General Adams going to try to save this turn. They go in against the built-up area with the King's German Legion leading the assault, and the Hanoverians sliding in to also attack and support. All right, the Guard is going to move. They might actually go way left. They're going to do a double move. The Guard moves in heavy column, cutting behind the horses. Their guns peeled off and did a double move and got up on that hill. They're going to have to rely on messengers to fire as the Guard moves towards the Polish. And last up is Mac, right? Is that his name? Pack, excuse me. He's going to move forward if he can pass an order. Oh, they're beautiful. They're moving up behind the Brits that seem to be faltering. They're going to push them out of the way to get the attack. But unfortunately, on their side is the Old Guard Grenadiers and Old Guard Chasseurs. Pack's gun double moved to there. We had some failures going on. New attack against the Grognards. Les Grognards. Les Miserables. Italians got wiped out. That's not good. Cavalry charge. Guard moving across there. Oh, those guys. Let me roll, see if they move. They begin to make the flank move to take this hill. Get the high ground. See what they can do to the Polish. They're bringing their gun with them, too. Alright, now that's the end of the action phase for the British. Alright, King's German Legion going in against the Les Grognards at the built-up area. The Invincibles. These guys, if I was doing a campaign, these guys would be some kind of elite unit. Alright. 6 dice for the French, 5 for the British. Or the Germans, excuse me, because they have the Hanoverians too. It's all Germans. King's German Legion inflicts 3 casualties. They suffer 2 losses themselves. But there will be, they win the battle, or they win the fight. Now these guys have to take 3 Valor checks, needing 4s. Oh, it's the end of an era. They put up a hell of a good fight. They flee from the built-up area which they held through thick and thin. That was pretty awesome. I love friggin' stuff like that. King's German Legion just too much. They will move in and occupy the built-up area. British forces move in and occupy the built-up area. Oh, that's a huge objective right there. They bring all the flags in. They want everyone to know who owns this place now. Strong work. 3 cavalry squadrons slamming into that French line. I try to figure out what kind of they get a bonus for that fortification. Cavalry going up against a stone wall. We consider that defensible terrain. They're going to get an extra dice. They're going to have 6 dice for them. Let's see what the Scots Greys can pull out of their yin yang. They're going to be throwing 9 dice, and I think they have extra stuff with their. They got some superpowers. They're headstrong and they're heavy cavalry. All right, they're re-rolling all their 1s, and if they win, they're going to slam into the next unit. The Scots Greys take 2 casualties. The French line takes 6. They're going to take 2 fortitude, 2 valor checks to see if they survive this onslaught, as these guys are going to come over the fence and hit the next unit if they don't, or if they do die. That unit is going to implode. They get crushed underneath those hooves. Hooves! The second unit, I'm not even going to go over there yet. They get 4 dice tacking as these guys all come over the wall and hit them with 9 dice. That unit inflicts 2 more casualties on the Scots Greys. They're going to be shook with 4 casualties. They take 6. They get hammered. They got to take 2 valor checks to see if they survive. Holy cow. You come across the wall and everyone's busted up in here. We got fortitude checks across the board on the French. Now they've got 3 brigades now that need to do fortitude checks. Oh, that might be the end of the British phase, I think, of the melee phase. I am 99% sure that's the only thing they had in range. Oof, brutal. All right, got 3 battalions. Got the dice out here marking what colors are what. These guys need 3s, and that unit over there in the center, that built-up area, needs a 4. The British cavalry bearing down on his position was just too much for General Pigot. He takes off. His entire brigade flees the battlefield. Oh! Does clear the way for the Grand Battery, but Napoleon's second loss is put on him, on his counter, as that brigade, I think it's the 4th Brigade, flees the battlefield. Wow. Giant hole in the middle of the battlefield now for the French. I'm sure they're going to fill it here in about 3 seconds with cavalry. All right, French, turn 5, I think. I can't remember what a 7 is. I'm sure it's cool. That's that directed fire. Ooh, that might be a good time for it. Grand Battery plus the Italians' gun. They're going to combine their firepower, fire at the lifeguards. They're going to use directed fire. And it's 12 inches, so it's canister. 8 dice hitting the lifeguards. Sorry, not the lifeguards, the Royal Horse Guards. The Blues! They are pulverized with 6 hit. They're going to go ahead and play that number 6 card they have. Makes the French re-roll all that again. Well, I guess it worked a little bit. They take 5 hits. They got to take a valor check. It's in the shooting phase, so they survive. They're just shook. French artillery piece is going to fire at the 4th King Zone. They inflict a loss on those gentlemen. And the Vistula Legion's artillery piece is going to fire into the Queen Zone Hussars. I think this is enfilade, whatever. 2 shots, make it 3 shots, hitting him into a dense target. They put 2 hits on them, but the British cavalry is hurting. The Scots Greys are shook with 4 casualties. The Horse Guards are shook with 4 casualties. The Queen Zone Hussars have 2 casualties. and the lifeguards have 3. All right, it's action phase time. The automatic action is going to be the French cavalry. They're going to come out. They're going to do something psychotic. Actually, they can't be the automatic because these guys will be in the way. These guys will be the automatic. French Foreign Brigade swings to the right, attacks the Royal Welsh Fusiliers with the Swiss Guard going in first. But also the 1st Battalion of the Vistula Legion also making contact. Oh, here they come. Brutal. Cavalry trying to activate. Only the Chasseurs à Cheval and the Carbineers are able to reach the 1st Dragoons. The Carbineers will definitely be the lead unit. Coming up behind them are the Garde des Chevaux, the Cuirassiers, and then the Chevaux Légers as the French cavalry mobilize into the battlefield, striking into the side of the British. Oh, it's going to be ugly. Pass an order and charge the lone King's German Legion. They make contact, and in the background, cavalry battle swirling. Oh, not to be outdone by the battle right behind them. Oh, sweet. All right, the Guard. By the Old Guard Grenadiers, Old Guard Chasseurs, and the Middle Guard being supported by the Young Guard Grenadiers. Oh, it could be too much for them. But never fear, the Highland Brigade waiting in the wings to get back in there. Last up, that final brigade over there is gonna, with their 2 units left, one's gonna try to attack the other unit, so cutting off support to the 45th, and they're gonna try to rally a casualty off their artillery piece on the hill. They passed the order. Now they're gonna try to rally off that casualty. Fail and remain shook. These guys are going to try to pass an order and rally 3 battalions. All right, we got the boys marked. I can't remember if this game is the same as Black Powder, where you actually can't rally off the last loss. You're stuck with 1. But I've already gone down the rabbit hole, so I'm sticking with it right now. All right, that's the action phase for the French. We're going to go into the melee, which is going to be a nightmare. Good news, doesn't say anything about not being able to take off a loss token. The 2 First Guard battalions, by the way, and the 2 Old Guard battalions are both elite. The last remaining infantry battalion of that brigade actually went in and attacked these guys that have been shook since the time began. I keep forgetting to rally them. So there will be no brigade support for the 45th. So the 45th will have 4 dice, and the Old Guard Grenadiers will have 10. Good luck. The 45th take 5 casualties. French still have 1-1 to reroll with their Elan roll. Old Guard takes 3. 45th gets hammered. They got to take 4 Valor checks to try to stay in this fight. Oh, they almost pull it off. 45th implodes. They run off the battlefield. In this fight, the French will have 5, the British will have 3. The French will suffer 2 casualties. The British will take 3 additional casualties and have to do 3 Valor checks. General Mitchell's just down to the bus. The rest of his brigade has been destroyed. 2 fortitude checks for him at the end of the turn. Italians going in against the King's German Legion. Give me a minute. 6 against 4. And they have Elon. They'll re-roll ones. Both sides take 2 casualties. Italians win, but it's really no effect. Both of them are just sitting here. They'll go again next time. This is going to be a mess. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. 8 versus 7. I don't think it's any difference for that. They would have seen them coming, and there's no real facings in this game. They're technically outflanked, but yeah. That's going to suck for the 1st Dragoons. 8 versus 3. Oh, the heavy Dragoons take. They are shook. They have 1 extra casualty, so they'll have to take a Valor check. It's one of them. The Cuirassiers take 1 casualty. Getting attacked in the flank after with blown horses after being hit by cannonballs. Just too much for the Dragoon Guards. They flee the battlefield. Ponsonby's brigade is going to have to take a fortitude check. And then we'll go on to the last melee as the Grenadiers go in against the rural Welsh Fusiliers. Swiss going in with 7 dice. Welsh hitting back with 4. The Welsh were able to inflict 2 casualties on the Swiss guards, but they take they get hammered. They got to take 3 valor checks. All right, the British have 3 fortitude checks. One's including their cavalry brigade. And we got a double threat here in the center. They need to roll a 3 because they've got Wellington with them. It's a horrible turn of events for the British. They lose their cavalry brigade. They flee. They lose their what's left of their massive brigade that originally was tasked with taking this built-up area but couldn't. They're gone. Wellington's got 3 losses on him now, I think. Or 3 defeats, whatever they call them. Yeah. You haven't, the guard hasn't fought yet, but there's a huge cavalry brigade that's basically untouched in front of them. And the Highland Brigade will be up against the Old Guard. That'll leave the King's German Legion all by themselves. And while the 2 flanks are almost been nullified by the river, and these guys are just, they're going to be done. I don't know, this video is already over 2 hours, I'm sure. So let's go ahead and just call this one quits. Say Wellington wants to salvage what he's got left for the next fight. He's gonna pull back. Doesn't have a cavalry screen. He's probably gonna lose another couple battalions on the way out because the French cavalry is gonna chase him down. Wow, great game. I think in a smaller game, excuse me, like on a 6x4 table, I could see this not being as appealing unless you were playing with like 6mm or maybe Epic. I've never seen how big the Epic guys are on that kind of table, but for this size table, with this size forces, unless, I mean, I love General Desarmés, but with the way I play, I'll come down and I'll play for 3 or 4 hours, and then I'll go upstairs. I'll do some video editing for 2 hours, and I'm done for that day. Only reason I got basically 2.5 turns done today is because I was so pumped up. I got up at like 4:30 in the morning and started playing. But this is I love it so far. I'll probably play about 3 games of this before I don't want to come out and say, hey, this is this compared to Black Powder or not. This has still got that new shiny feel. I might even take 4 games of this because I've got a good solid 10 or 12 games of Black Powder under my belt, probably more of that I haven't even recorded. But I'd like to do a little comparison, contrast video on the two. They're both designed to accomplish the same thing. I just want to see, I think with the cards that are added into this, the lack of saving throws, which is I'm starting to like the lack of saving throws. I really got into that with Lion Rampant. That's really kind of my only other game that has that mechanism in most of the two Fat Lardies games, and Bolt Action, all of those saving throws. But yeah, I think it just speeds things up. I'm not saying that's, I mean, for a skirmish game, I think they're great. I think in the way I play Lion Rampant, which is not the way it's intended to be, I think it's great too. I do like the skirmish game saving throw thing. That's kind of neat, especially against an opponent. So yeah, 2 thumbs up for this so far. But it's a tentative 2 thumbs up because I've only played one game. So, and just from playing Napoleonics, I mean, I could almost play a complete crap rule system, if there is a crap rule system out there for Napoleonics, and I would enjoy it just because it's Napoleonics. It's just, yeah, it's my it's what got me into the hobby. It's what really, it's also the only thing that gave me the motivation to paint all of these guys and to paint more, which I've got on my table over there right now. So I've got another, I think, 4 battalions ready to go. 1, 2 French, 2 English. Got some flags coming from GMB. So plus I'm going to continue to do what I did to the Highland Brigade. I'm not going to play another round, but I really, really wanted to fight with the Highlanders and with the Guard. But I will, I think I'm going to repaint the Guard next. They're going to be my next improvement project. And then I'm going to have to put them at the front and just send them in right away, just so I can use them. Because when you kind of use them the way they're supposed to be used as a reserve, if you don't do it right, sometimes the game's over by the time you get around to doing it. So I wanted to hold off because I usually commit my reserves like super quick. I think the British Guard would have got into the battle faster if they just would have gone straight ahead. But the real need was at that time when I started moving them was to the left, and I didn't expect the British cavalry to get destroyed the way they did between artillery. That one French unit held up against them, and then the French cavalry charging in and basically shooting them while they're already down, and then the horrible roll on the fortitude check. So I kind of left the British Guard out by itself, and the Scots, or the Highlanders, excuse me, they had a date with destiny, but they're just going to have to wait. It's going to make me want to play it all that much faster or sooner, as they were getting ready to go up against the ultimate test, which is the French Old Guard and Guard Brigade. Sweet. Okay. Enough rambling. I'll get the video out. I hope you enjoy it. I hope I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the hell playing it. I do watch my own videos, and probably multiple times, because I do find them. I think I'm the funniest person out there. I love myself. No, I'm not like that, but I do. There's a lot of things I say that I find humorous that other people are like, what's wrong with that guy? But yeah. So that's it. And thank you for watching. I hope you have a fantastic week. I'm going to do some painting this week and plan on playing another game next weekend. I know Addison has a big wrestling tournament next week. And we'll see how much time I have, but at least I'll get it started. and we'll go from there. All right, you guys are awesome, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care now. Bye bye. Oh, I got to end up on the old guard, or it's not a good video. Where they at?